so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting. Especially since they're helping to fund all the cool projects we have in the works, such as the Positive Head app, the docuseries that I'm intending to begin shooting within the next year, and whatever else we dream up over here at Positive Headquarters to help spread consciousness across the planet. Now, if you're short on time or just super excited for today's topic and want to dive right in and skip these ads, feel free to fast forward about
2.5 minutes
to get right into today's show. That being said, I strongly encourage you to listen because the reason I'm passionate about my sponsors is because they've made a huge impact in my own life, which is why I've aligned with these organizations. And I firmly believe they can do the same for you too. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positive head. That's spelled GAIA.com/positive head. The second sponsor I'm extremely passionate about promoting is Purium. The reason I've aligned Positive Head with Purium is because I wholeheartedly stand behind their mission to end human suffering by making superfoods easily available to everyone with the ultimate goal to help restore mankind's harmony with nature in the process. I mean, what a noble mission, right? It's no mystery that you need to bring your mind, body, and spirit into balance if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and grandest version of themselves. And for me, for years, I honestly felt like I was ahead of the curve in the mind and spirit category, but I was only average at best in the level of care I administered to my body. Sure, I was healthy-ish when it came to the food I put into my system, but after doing a Purium 40-day transformation with a 10-day metabolic reset and cleanse, I can honestly say I have reestablished my relationship with food in a very positive way. Not only did I drop the extra weight that I was carrying as a natural byproduct of the transformation so that I'm now at my ideal body weight, but I continue to feel like my best self by starting every day with an organic Purium power shake that is made from raw superfood ingredients that were meticulously harvested, thoughtfully combined to optimize the nutritional impact it has on my body. I view the shake as plant medicine, really, and it happens to taste really delicious, and I can make it in about 30 seconds. There's actually 4 core Purium products that I take every day, and honestly, I intend to do so for the rest of my life for a very scientifically sound reason. And if you want to learn more about those reasons, you can go check out my video at positivehead.com/transformation, where I go into more detail. If you end up buying any of the Purium products, be sure and use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for a 25% discount. All right, all you positive heads, welcome. Here we grow again. So happy to be with you guys, gals, ETs. I don't know. Maybe there's some apes that found a field of magic mushrooms and they're listening too. Stoned Ape Theory, you might have heard about it. Whoever's listening, I love you. Glad you're here. I'm glad to be here. We are going to talk about some things and whatnot today. How's that for specifics? I'm actually going to expand a little bit on what I was talking about yesterday, as well as taking some inspiration from P-Head friend giving me some feedback on their first Burning Man experience, which sort of inspired what I want to talk about today. So before I dive into all of that, I would like to take a moment and read a review on iTunes. It is, of course, the holy grail of all things podcasting. So if you leave reviews on iTunes, not only do they help us to reach new people, but they certainly help to fuel my fire to continue this labor of love. So I would definitely appreciate it if you would do so. If not, that's okay too. But it definitely helps all the things when you leave a review. And this one came in by It's Me C, and the title is Grateful. I've been wanting to leave a review for this podcast for some time. I truly began my spiritual journey down this rabbit hole in 2015, and an old friend introduced me to this podcast a few months ago, and there are no words that could express my gratitude for her and the entire P-Head community. I've been more in tune with my thoughts, gifts, traumas, and ultimately tapping into that higher consciousness. I'm always moved and oftentimes brought to tears. Brandon, you are an amazing individual who has created quite the domino effect in this world. Thank you for the impact you've made, my friend. Aw, well, thank you, It's Me, C, for taking the time to review and complete this circle of love by giving me this wonderful, wonderful feedback. And the thing about it, of course, is when I say wonderful, O-N-E, Durful, I'm a reflection of you. You are a reflection of me, and we are all doing it together. And any domino effect I can create, you can create. And, it's just so inspiring to know that we all have the ability to inspire each other. We are each other's medicine. And it is absolutely an honor to play a role in your journey. And thank you for showing up. All right. So moving right along, I want to just jump into, and by the way, he talked about, I'm not sure, talked about the P-Head community. That is the Facebook group Positive Heads, by the way. And if you guys want to join up there, it's a wonderful place, about 6,000 almost P-Heads sharing, connecting, answering questions, supporting each other. It's a beautiful, beautiful group. Highly recommend joining there. It's private, so you can get personal if you'd like, and not have the rest of Facebook world, see into that. Also, there's the recent group Positive Plant Posse, which we created for all things, health, wellness, Purium related. For those of you who are going to participate in the 40-day Ultimate Nutrition Plan this month, you definitely want to join in there because it is a great place to have questions answered, support each other, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah. So, all right. Let's move right into today's topic of conversation. I don't think there's such a thing as conversation, but if there were, this is what it would sound like. I wanted to talk about what I touched on yesterday was how incredible the universe is and what standing on the shoulder of giants, right, is what I talked about, and what has led to you existing. And how easy it is for us to take it for granted, like this life and, it's humdrum, mundane, what have you. But meanwhile, so many perfect things have had to happen for you to have the opportunity to be in 3D. I thought of, something that a while ago, and I'm actually going to talk about Burning Man in a minute. So, because it just ended and a lot of my friends are posting and I didn't, I've been 7 times. I didn't go this year, but I intend to be back next year. I absolutely love it. And so seeing a lot of people's stories and whatnot, and it actually ties in, what I was thinking about was seeing a woman there a couple years ago who's highly intuitive, does plant medicine journeys down in Brazil, I believe, if I recall. And she was talking to my friend about how many people are waiting for the opportunity. How many souls are waiting for the opportunity to come into 3D and get to do the work and the growth that is only available to us in this unique container that is life on planet Earth, where these positive and negative forces are creating friction, bumping up against one another to create a cauldron for growth and transformation, right? And she was saying to my friend, you've got to take this more seriously, take better care of yourself. I think she was even talking about like physical health. You need to take better physical health, care of your health, because you don't understand how many souls would love to have the opportunity that you've been afforded here. And it goes back to what I was saying yesterday was, your ancestors that have paid the price, the dues, the blood, sweat, and tears to deliver you to this unique opportunity for growth that we just can't get on the other side. Right? So if you take that perspective and embody that perspective, it really brings a sense of wonder to your life, even if you're doing something that's mundane. And of course, bringing that sense of wonder will transform the mundane thing into wondrous. And what will you then see? Because you are a creator, you'll see more things that are wondrous because you're emanating the vibration of wonderment, right? And so I wanted to talk and just add an exclamation point on what we were talking about yesterday there. And, you really getting into the state where you realize the full picture of what it's taken for you to be here now, and how your sort of obligation, I feel, is all of our obligation is to make the most of it and to appreciate it and appreciate all the grimy parts, all the mundane parts, all the pain, all the love, all the opportunity to be in a way that we just can't be on the other side. And that's just a powerful thing for us to all really anchor into our hearts and minds and souls, so that we are walking on this earth with that perspective as a foundational piece of every move that we make. And you're walking the earth, without you taking it for granted. And one of the things that when I was talking yesterday about how many lifetimes and how much, this 13.5 billion year old universe, they think it's somewhere around there, has existed, and all these nonstop interactions have culminated into you being here now, right? You are the pinnacle of its expression in this moment. And how we also get into these states of thinking we need to somehow control that. Right? We come into our lives and think, I'm going to control everything that's happening. And how many of you out there have an issue with like being a little bit of a control freak? That happens to a lot of us, right? And think about the folly of that when you think of 13.5 billion years of expansion, stars living, dying, exploding outwards, the atoms then reforming into this planet 4 billion or so years ago, and out of the dirt you arose, like all these forces so massive. Forget about just looking at your ancestral line and all the moves that had to be made and all the prices that had to be paid. Think beyond that into the larger cosmos. I mean, this thing is so insanely massive. And here we show up and, okay, I'm going to control every little thing. And if I can't control it, I'm going to freak out. And it's like, that is the surefire recipe for fighting a fight that you just can't win. I mean, this thing is so much bigger than any of us. And I started listening to The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, and he was talking about this. I've only listened to the first chapter or two. And this is exactly what he's talking about, how he went from surrendering to everything and living his whole life over decades to, where he just was meditating in the forest and by surrendering to everything that came up, he, at the beginning of the book, he's in a plane riding to an offer to have his company bought out for like $1 billion or something. He's like in something he didn't even try and create. It just like arose naturally by him surrendering to what the universe was sort of serving up. And this is a whole nother way of looking at this perspective of flow, right? Where it's just looking at it from another angle. Instead of trying to you against the universe, using your free will in a different way. use it to work with what's naturally arising, because the forces that are having that circumstance naturally arise, they've been at play for billions of years leading up to the moment that they're arising. So instead of trying to move a mountain with, nothing but your arms, maybe try and work with that mountain, work with what's arising. And this is the surrender experiment is actually this guy, Michael Singer. He also wrote The Untethered Soul, which I've been talking about quite a bit lately, but which I love, highly recommend, by the way. But this is what the book is about, his journey into learning to surrender to what's naturally arising, and then exerting his will in conjunction with it, in the flow with it, right? It's like if you want to body surf, you don't try and body surf into the waves, right? You want to work with the waves that are naturally arising, right? You go with the flow. And so I think this is a wonderful, powerful way to start living our lives from this perspective of awe of what has went before you in order to give you the opportunity, and then seeing what's arising. Okay, there's a lot of momentum behind it. Maybe I'm supposed to work with it instead of against it. And that is, of course, the way through everything, because what you resist persists, and what you accept, you move through. And so this is just yet another way to look at this topic that we're always circling on the show. And, to kind of expand on flowing with what is, of course, what happens a lot of times, those things we push up against continue to pop up again and again, because they are our teachers. They're there. It's like, oh, okay, you still got something to learn from this particular thing, and you're still resisting it. So what is the universe going to serve you up more and more of? You got it. So what made me think of this is talking to my lovely friend, P-Head Kendra, who is just this incredibly talented artist, just has so many amazing things flowing through her in her life and artistically, and I just love watching it unfold. And talking to her, I talked to her quite a bit before she went to Burning Man, and she's very excited about her first experience, first burn. And, as a successful artist, of course, going to Burning Man, which is the epicenter of all things art on planet Earth, I would say it's just like an artistic wonder. Not only is there all of these art displays and interactive, creations on the playa, but also the people themselves become the art. It's like it is 70,000 souls come together, and all of it's art, and it's incredible. And so, I was excited to hear her feedback as she just got back to Civilization yesterday evening, and we were chatting a little bit, and she was saying, it was absolutely amazing. Some things that she didn't like, though, that came up, and it sort of inspired some of what I'm talking about now, is, it's gotten more commercial in recent years. It's been over around 30 plus years, but in the last, 5 or so, especially, a lot of press. You have a lot of people going, that are very wealthy, or, it's just become more mainstream, right? This thing that was formerly more underground. And so I think you've attracted a lot of people who maybe, and not to say there's so much spiritual energy at Burning Man, but I think it's also attracting more and more people who aren't as tapped into that, which is great because it gives them a way to get exposure. But it also brings in, as she put it, there were a lot of skeezy bros. And I like that description. It's and I could instantly visualize, ego, a lot of ego, as she put it. She bumped up against a lot of that, and I thought, and of course, my intuition and knowing her, at this point, I could feel here's this creative artist, brilliant, pure, inspirational, inspired soul who you bump up against kind of the frat boy, bro type, is probably what I intuitively felt as soon as I was reading her message to me. It's ooh, that's a thing that really pushes her buttons. The skeezy bro is not her favorite archetype of human, I'm pretty sure, as this brilliant, creative, heartfelt artist. But then I got thinking about it, and actually, what popped up on my Facebook feed synchronistically soon after was someone in the Positive Heads Facebook group posted it was actually from a church sign, and they said, look, I'm not religious, but what's written on the sign is epic. And what it said is, you'll never look into the eyes of someone God does not love. And wow, I really absolutely love that. And, higher self, source, whatever you want to call it, right? They referred to it, the expanded version of us as God in this case. But so I started thinking about that, in conjunction with having just talked to her. And I was thinking, well, not only intuitively do I feel that she probably has a particular disdain for skeezy bros, but she probably, as a result of that, there's a lot of people at Burning Man, and I bet you she attracted more than her fair share of that energy. Why? Because she has a particular disdain for it, right? What we resist persists. There's a certain level of judgment probably in there. And I'm not pointing a finger. I'm not judging her judgment, right? But I'm just observing, I know because I've done lots of that sort of thing in the past. That's one of the hardest things I think for really intelligent, well-intended, grounded people to deal with is some of this energy that's like, dude, you're kind of a D-bag. What are you doing? And when you understand, it's like, I think of my mom in the Kardashians. My mom detests the Kardashians. I'm like, Mom, do you understand what if everyone was like you? It would be pretty, well, first off, it'd be very Martha Stewart-y around here. But my mom's like the Southern, I don't know, think of me, but almost 70 and a Southern woman. So yeah, you get the point. So she's very outgoing, and she definitely feel her presence when she's in the room, and she's so brilliant and full of light when she's not falling into judgment, right? In this case, using the Kardashians as an example, they are it's like the materialistic kind of energy and whatever, and superficiality or whatever she's judging. Like, Mom, that is actually necessary. The world needs it all. If it were all just like you, it would be an awfully boring place, right? And this goes for those skeezy bros at Burning Man. You know what? I feel Kendra, I get it. I've always been I've never been a big fan of that kind of super bro mentality. I like to think I'm pretty in tune with both my masculine and feminine and heart centered, and not a lot of what people would judge as a frat boy mentality in my vibe. Although I've had my moments of probably embodying that, I'd guess at some point, right? And we've all kind of had our moments that are less glamorous than others. But, the thing about these skeezy bros, they're there because they're meant to be there. They have something to learn. And if you're resisting it, then you're attracting it. And so, then you take this idea of you'll never look into the eyes of someone God does not love. So how many of you out there have something of coworker, something that a particular archetype, your Kardashians, that they just bug you, they push your buttons? Well, you're probably attracting it because they're your teachers. It's all your teacher. And so, yeah, I just tapped into this it just kind of came to me very much when I was talking to her intuitively. I was like, but what would happen if Kendra loved them as skeezy bros? Well, she'd probably have an interaction with one that maybe started out one way that's really off-putting, and she then transformed them with her unconditional love and acceptance. And then all of a sudden you see the good side of that particular skeezy bro, right? That's the type of thing that happens. And if you can understand that's the way Source, God wants to play out, is you get the opportunity that thing that bothers you the most, pay special attention to it, because it's definitely your teacher. And so, love your skeezy bros, everyone. And the Kardashians. All right, you don't have to love all the Kardashians, but at least one. Pick one. Anyway, that's what bubbled up for me today to talk about, and I hope it has helped to clarify any of those, any of those people in your life that are particularly grating and annoying, where you can approach them as your teacher, as medicine, as being there to help you to further expand into the perspective that God, aka higher self, source, the perspective that it takes, which is what? never looks into the eyes of someone that it does not love. And that's your ultimate state. And we are all making strides to live in that perspective, from that perspective, more and more fully every day. And we still have work to do. I certainly have my moments of falling out of that, but more and more often I'm in alignment with that. And I know you are too. And I applaud you for your ongoing work. You are incredible, every single one of you. I love you all so, so much. I do have a song to leave you with. This is called Dreams Are Real. It's by Magica Om. Hope you enjoy. Until next time, journey well. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.
summer, you're